All right, good morning and welcome to Daf Yevamos, Daf It, number 25. We have an unbelievable shiur for you today. As you may have known a couple days ago, we had the delight of having Rish Shmuel Whitdale on to discuss glatt kosher money, how a Haredi person deals with his money, glatt kosher. Because if they eat glatt kosher, obviously for Hilchos Mamon also it's glatt kosher. Is it? He'll decide. But anyway, I did record part 2 of that series. I was able to get him yesterday evening for part 2. So that will be coming out shortly. I think I'm just going to make it into a series itself, apart from the Daf Yomi, the connected Daf Yomi shiur. Anyway, let's get started today. I don't have much time. Chav Dal, I'm going to be on the bottom. The Gemara says, we were talking about yesterday, Rav says that our Mishna, a Mishna which talked about the Mishna on Chav Dal and Beis, that if someone is suspected of adultery, what do you need to? And then she gets divorced, and she wants to marry the adulterer, right? The potential adulterer. We don't know if it's an adulterer or not. Is she allowed to marry him, or do we? If she marries him, do we force her to get divorced? That Rav says it's only talking about with Edom. Only if there's Edom, then we force her to get divorced. Not the Gemara had problems with that. Now the Gemara tries to resolve Rav a different way. The Gemara says, by Yisema, 4 lines to the bottom, Hani Masnisya Rebbe. These Mishnayah, these Brisas that we brought to challenge Rav, were really the opinion of Rebbe. And Rav argues on Rebbe. He holds like the Rabbanon argue on Rebbe, and the Mishnah is on the Rabbanon. The Sanya, Rochel Yote, what does Rebbe say? Rochel Yote, Ishach Geras Besinar. Rochel is a peddler. He's somebody. They say it means that he's selling spices, he's selling perfumes. Peddler sounds like pedophile. I don't know. A peddler, let's keep the article definition. A peddler, he's selling perfumes. Obviously, somebody who gets close to women. He helps them try on the perfume. He leaves the room, the bedroom. And when the husband walks in, they find the woman putting on her underwear. I'm a Rebbe Holem Chor Davar Teitze. It's very suspicious what's going on over there. So there she has to get divorced from her husband, Rokla Malam and Akila. Or if he sees Rokla Malam and Akila spit on top of the bedpost, bed frame, canopy bed they're talking about. And people don't use canopy bed so much anymore. It used to be popular. I would like to get a canopy bed one day. It has 4 pillars coming up. It has a roof over the bed. It's pretty cool. I don't know if they mean spit or they mean semen over here. I'm not really sure. So if that's very suspicious, again, the Rochel, the peddler, is leaving, and they see this. I'm already holding it's disgusting what's going on over here. It's very suspicious. She has to leave her husband, and she can't get married to the adulterer, potential adulterer. Third case, top of and Aleph, the shoes of the peddler are under the bed. I'm a Rebbe Holodar Mukhodar Teitze. Minalam Afukim. So the Gemara says, the Gemara interjects for a second. Lichsi Manu. See if they belong to the peddlers. His foot size. Try on DNA. I mean, what kind of shoes is he wearing? He's obviously a peddler. He has some money. He's selling perfumes. He's wearing his Ferragamo shoes. See how expensive the shoes are. His shies. Elamakom and Al Gemara says Malkom and Al Mafukim. Tachsamita. I'm a Rebbe Holodar Mukhodar Teitze. It's not talking about where the actual shoes were overturned. It's talking about where there was dirt underneath the bed, and you can see the imprint in the dirt. Hey Shmuel, how are you? Or it could mean that if there's no dirt underneath the bed, let's say they have shoes lined up underneath the bed and the shoes are now misaligned, the shoes are in a mess over there. You want to come? You want to join? All right. Say hello to the audience. Shmuel Silver. From one Shmuel to another Shmuel. We got Shmuel Silver and your namesake, Shmuel Whitdale.
No, he's a different league. He is Shmuel Whitdale. I mean,
he's Shmuel Whitdale. He has.
He's amazing. He is an amazing person. He has an amazing life story too. You know
yeah, and we're gonna get into that. We're delving into that.
You know what I'm saying about him? He knows everything. A lot of people and.
I'm finding that slowly. All right, we gotta do this shiur. I have to go pick up my daughter who's gone. See you tomorrow, Shmuel.
Okay.
The Gemara says, They'd say the shoes are misaligned. So you see Rebbe holds that even on suspicion, those Bryces over there which said that even on suspicion we force them to get divorced. So she has to, if she marries the adulterer, they have to get divorced. That's talking according to Rebbe, that he says even suspicion is enough if it's a really bad suspicion, meaning a really strong suspicion. And Rav holds no, you need mamish edim. The rest of the hilchos kavasi, the Rav hilchos kavasi, the Rebbe. Sometimes the halacha is like Rav or like the Rabbanan in the Mishnah, and sometimes the halacha is like Rebbe. Kash hilchos. How could it be? Who do we paskin like? So the Gemara says, lo kash habakal the pasuk habakal the lo pasuk. Talks, it depends how long the rumors go. People are talking about it in the city. They're saying the rumors. Oh, there was adultery over here. If the rumors never stopped, so the halacha is like Rebbe. Even there's no edim, if a rumor, you see suspicious activity, you see that she's putting on her underwear, and you see that there's a rumor that's going on for a significant amount of time, so we take that suspicion into account. We force them, even if she married the adulterer, they have to get remarried. We assume that adultery occurred. Call it the pasuk, but if it's a suspicion that goes away very soon, stops, so then you need to aid them like Rav in order to separate them. How long does the rumors have to be going on for? That doesn't stop. The rumors don't stop. I'm really aim my maidservant. I don't know who this maidservant was. She brought him up. She was, I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. Dumi demasa yoma palga. Meaning the suspicion in the city has to be for a day and a half. It's only if it didn't stop for a day and a half straight. If there was interruption, people said, no, maybe it's not, it didn't happen. Then it doesn't count as day and a half, it doesn't count as real suspicion. It stopped. But even though we said if it stops in the middle, it's not considered a real suspicion. That's only if there's not fear involved. Meaning, let's say the adulterer threatens to extort you or bring you to jail or to kill you. So then an extortion all going on over here. So then, even if it stops, it's considered a real suspicion. You have to get divorced. The adulterer has to get divorced. Based on it's a force to get divorced. We only suspect this real suspicion if there's no formal or known enemies of this woman. But if there's enemies of this woman, people don't like her, so then we assume they're the ones who are spreading the rumors. That we don't assume that it happened avada adultery. Interesting to know whether Rebbe and the Rabban or Rebbe and Rav really argue. Whereas not Hazan Motzi as Ishtu Mishum Shemra. Mishna and Gittin says, a man decides to divorce his wife, not based on. A man decides to divorce his wife because he hears rumors going around that she committed adultery. Either Rabbanan, he can't go ahead and remarry his wife if he decides afterwards. Mishum that because the fact that he divorced his wife lends credence to the fact that the adultery actually happened. Mishum neder. If he divorces his wife because there was a neder, sometimes you can make a neder, she makes a neder, he makes a neder, they don't want to get hana, they don't get pleasure from each other, they're very angry with each other, making a darim. So if there's a neder sometimes, it forces you to get divorced. Lo yachzir. Again, we don't know about the neder, but he can't remarry his wife because we assume it was a real neder, and therefore she's really asura to him. Shalach le'Rav barav Huna le'Rav barav Nachman imeden Rabbeinu kanas ma'oshi yotzi. What would be the din in this Mishnah? Let's say it says the Rabbanan he can't remarry. Let's say he goes ahead and remarries her. Does he have to? Would he force him to get rid of her? Amalei Tanina. We learn from our Mishnah. Again, there's a suspicion of adultery, and we remove her from the original husband, and then she marries the adulterer. We force him to get divorced. You see, in this case, also you force him to get divorced. So you can't compare the cases. There, it's talking about Basin forces him to get divorced. Here it's talking about, and Gittin is talking about that he decided to divorce her. He decided to divorce her, as opposed to our case when there's suspicion or there's Adam according to Rav. Basin forces her to divorce the husband to divorce the original husband to divorce her. Rav Nachman, this is Nami Hotziyatan. Right? Well, the reason Rabbi asked the question because he says our Mishna is also talking about Hotziyah. It wasn't based on and the husband decided to divorce her based on the suspicion. The Akasim Midam, the Gemara says even if you say that both are talking about the husband decided to do it, Midam Yahaka Baal V'Hasam Boel. Here it's the husband. The husband again when he divorces his wife and he's remarrying her, it's different than the Boel, the adulterer. He's remarrying her. I'm like a shopper dummy. He really didn't understand the question. I'm like shopper dummy. They really are comparable. They're similar. They both say Chazal say Rabbanan adulterer in our case, or in the case in Gittin, he can't. The original husband can't remarry her, and if he did, he has to be motzi her. So they're comparable. And whereas below, he was mistaken in his notion to think they were comparable. When he goes, the adulterer goes ahead and remarries her, so therefore people say, oh wow, it really is true. Why is he marrying her? He had adultery, he likes her, now he wants to marry her. Exactly the opposite in Gittin, where he divorces his wife because he thinks that she committed adultery, and then he goes in and remarries her, the same husband himself. So therefore, he obviously has figured out that the suspicion was wrong, right? By him remarrying her, it's the total opposite. He's showing to everybody that the suspicion is wrong. The fact that he goes and remarries her shows her that he found the suspicion was wrong, and she really wasn't an adulteress. The Mishna, someone brings a get. We're gonna give, I don't know, like 2 years. Get them Gittin. We'll get there. This is the first Mishnah. The first Mishnah is Gittin talks about you bring a get to Eretz Yisrael from overseas, right? Let's say the lady's in Eretz Yisrael. She got divorced from a man. They lived in America. She got divorced. She moved to Israel. People want to bring it. Finally, they convinced the husband to give her a get. He was recalcitrant to give her a get. Eventually, he gave it to her, and Adam bring it. The Adam have to bring it. They have to say, and they have to testify. Not only just bring the get, which has signatures on it, they have to also state that it was that it was written and signed in their presence in order to assume, because we assume in Chutz the Bate Dinim are not so good. In America, the Bate Dinim are not so good. I'm joking. I don't know. This is what the Gemara says. This. Bina Sayam. Maybe Bina Sayam was talking about an exotic island, not Caribbeans. I don't know. It seems like the Gemara right outside of Bavel and Eretz Yisrael, anything is considered Bina Sayam. We'll get there. I don't know. Lo Yisa is Ishto. So you have to say Fanei. We were concerned that wasn't done Lishma. The Bat Dinim are not so careful there. So one of the Dinim again, it has to be done specifically intent for this woman. He has to do it for this woman and not a different woman. So they have to give testimony for that in order to make it a valid get. So these Adam come and bring it, lo yisai ishto. We're suspicious over there. They're saying they're testifying in order to get the woman divorced. Why are they doing this? It's a false testimony. They just want to go and marry this lady. So we suspect them. Therefore, Mindarban, he can't marry the woman. Meis harakti haraganu lo yisai ishto. Again, a woman whose husband died, and a man comes and says, Mace, he says your husband died, or he's haraktiv, I killed your husband, or haganu, me and somebody else killed your husband, like you said, ishto. He can't marry her because the reason he's testifying that the husband died is because he has something to gain over her. He wants to marry the lady. We're going to see though she is free to remarry. Omer haraktiv lo tinase. Yehuda says though if he did give testimony that I killed her, she can't get remarried based on that. Not to him, of course, not to him, but Yehuda says she can't get married. Ishto, he says me and somebody else killed him. Then the wife get remarried. Obviously, Yehuda agrees not to him because we're suspicious. The only machlokas in Yehuda and the Rabbanan is do we, in the case of haraktiv, do we believe him to allow the woman to get married? We'll see by Eda's Isha at the end of the Masechta, in order to allow a woman Aguna to remarry, the Chacham make a lot, primarily because a woman checks into it very much. Midaraisa, she checks into it very much. She doesn't want to end up with mamzerus because if her husband really comes back alive, then she had married somebody, a woman now married to two men, and therefore the child is a mamzer if they have children with the next husband. Where it says, the whole reason over here is talking about coming from Dinas Hayam, because we're relying on these two Eidim to say, if two people come from Eretz Yisrael, people get divorced in Eretz Yisrael, one person comes from Ashdod to Yerushalayim, you don't need his Eidim, you don't need him to say, even if he does say that, Isa is Isha, then he could marry the wife. That would be inferred from the Mishnah. The Gemara is V'ham Mace. What about the case of you give him testimony, the husband died? Midaraisa, we don't rely on his testimony. Midaraisa, she checks it out. We would believe her even without an aid. Only Midarabanan the aid. And still we see, even though really principally she's believed, we still say the man we don't need his aidus midaraisa. He shouldn't marry the husband. Shouldn't marry the woman. Whereas Hasam Leka Ksava, there, even though you don't really need him, but you don't really need him midaraisa, there's no ksav. Halcha Yikasava. Here there is actual get. There's a get. There's written proof over here. There's a get. It's not mabin get. Misa shaksav mochiach. It's even a Mishnah that says what's the difference between a get and edus isha is that the get is actually written proof. There's a written document over there that lends more credence that there actually was a get. It was truthful. Meis haraktim kanula yisa ishto. Again, he testifies in edus isha about a husband dying. Though he can't marry the person who gave the testimony, can't marry the wife. We're suspicious he is lying, and he did it in order to marry the woman. Who knew the lo yisa isha ala achar tinasa, but the woman can marry somebody else. Amar of Yosef, ploni ravani laonsi huva achar mistar from lahargo. If someone says, a man says, another man raped him, sodomized him, laonsi against my will, huva achar mistar from lahargo. So he, even though he's the one who was affected by this, he was the one who sodomized. He and another man could be validated him to kill this person because again, mishkav zachar is considered to be an asur minat Torah. Lersoni Rasha who he said Lersoni, he says that Ploni did it and I agreed to it. I wanted him to do it. Rasha who he's a Rasha. I mean, this aid is a Rasha because you're not allowed to engage in mishkav zachar according to your will. Torah says, don't give credence, don't believe an Adam Rasha. He's not a good aid. A Rasha, someone who tells that he did an Avera, b'mezid, he's pasal eidus. So therefore, he's not believed. So how could it be that he's believed over here to marry the woman off? Maybe eidus isha is only the rabbanon. Midaraisa is to believe. I'm Menashe, but Menashe says, top of Hamad base, Gazan Divrayim Kashal Eidus Isha, Gazan Divrei Torah Pasal Eidus Isha. If he's a Gazan Divrayim, there's two types of Gazlanim. A Gazlan Midoraisa, someone who steals, or the Adim that saw him steal from someone, literally, maybe, in daylight, clear daylight, he stole from somebody. A Gazan Divrayim is somebody who the Rabbanan considered a Gazlan, not that he's really a Gazlan, it just means that he did some things like he lends money out with ribbis, or he engages he's a gambler, type of gambler the Torah forbids. So therefore, he's suspicious for Eidos, so he's possibly midarabanan for Eidos. So you see that by Eidos Isha, that as long as he's only possibly midarabanan, he's good for Eidos Isha. So the Gemara says, so you see that according to Rav Menashe, that a Gaza, what do you apostle for Eidos Isha? So the name of Rav Menashe the Amrak Rav Yehuda. Rav Menashe, who wouldn't believe for Eidos Isha, who wouldn't believe the Gaza and Da'oraisa, he would say like Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says that if the guy says Haragtiv, I killed the man, so she's not even believed, it's not good Eidos at all. Amrak Rav Menashe, and Amri Afilu Rabbanan. Menashe says, I can say I'm time with the Rabbanan Hachak the Rava. I would even give the Rabbanan, I'd say like Rav Yehuda. The Rabbanan here, the Rava, the Rava, Adam Karav Eitel Atzmo, Adam Eitel Atzmo Rasha. Person, even when a person testifies that Haragtiv, I killed your husband, right? So he's believed because a person can't make a Karav Eitel Atzmo. That's going to be the subject of Iman Ben Sion today. Karav Eitel Atzmo, he's close to himself, and a person can't make himself a Rasha. When he says, I killed him, we don't believe him that he killed him. We don't believe that he killed him, but we do believe the Eidos. He's Neman, but not to make him apostle aid. If he was Neman fully to be apostle aid, so then his Eidos would be invalid. He's Neman, he's believed, just not believed to say that he killed him. He's halfway believed, sort of Palgina Dibura, so we split his words, so therefore he's believed. Over here, Eidos Isha over there, Eidos Isha, that's Gazan Divrayim. It's not someone who made himself a Rasha. If he made himself if he became a Rasha based on Adam saw him steal something, so that's a real Rasha. That's why you apostle Eidos. The question is, Lema Rav Yosef, Damar Rav Yehuda. Say Rav Yosef, who says like Rav Yehuda. Rav Yosef was the one who said before Ploni Ravani Laontu, Vachman Tarvan Hagal Lurtoni Rashu. If someone says that someone sodomized me and I wanted him to sodomize me, I wanted him to engage in Mishkav Zachar with me. So if he says that, so he's not considered a good aid. He passes himself as aid. So the Gemara says, "No, you don't Yosef. They don't Yosef. The Amakar Yosef. Amakar Yosef. Ana Damri Afil LaRabbanan. The shining aid is Isha. The Akil LaRabbanan. Shining aid is Isha. The Rabbanan are makel very much to accept even a little bit of Eidos. So therefore, even the Rabbanan would be moda over here, even though normally in that case he'd be apostle aid. Here by Eidos the Rabbanan, he would be a kosher aid. Rav Menashe, the Amar Rav Yehuda, Rav Menashe is going to have to, and Rav Menashe, and he would have to say, Rav Yosef would have to say, Rav Menashe is going to have to hold like Rav Yehuda, because Rav Menashe says even someone, for Eidos Isha, he apostles somebody, a Gazan would be apostle for Eidos Isha, that he must hold like Rav Yehuda, Haraktiv Haganu Tinase. So the Gemara says, Rav Yehuda says, there's two cases. He says, I killed him or we killed him. Maishta Haraktiv, Maishta Haganu. Rav Yehuda says a difference. If he says, I killed him personally, so he's not believe he's apostle, and she can't remarry. Haganu, we killed him, she could remarry. I'm Rav Yehuda, what's the difference? I'm Rav Yehuda, Omer, Ani Hayisim Horgov. It doesn't mean the second case is not me and somebody else killed him. It means I was with two other people that killed him. But I didn't participate. But Tanya, the says, Amru Lola Rabbi Yehuda, Maitzavil Lissamach Yatza Lahareg Megizas Kaput. There's a story with a certain armed bandit that he went in Megizas Kaputka and Kaputka, wherever Kaputka is, I'll find out where it is in the world. He was going out to die. He was going out to the gallows. Go to say, tell the wife of Shimon Cohen that I killed her husband. When I came into Lud, I killed her husband. Or some say it means when he entered Lud, I killed him. They believed him. How could it be? Yehuda said back, then there's a proof. So again, he says that it doesn't mean that I actually testify that I killed him. It means I was with the perpetrators. I didn't kill him. So therefore, he's believed. He says a listim, that he was actually a listim. He was a bandit. He obviously did the crime. He was convicted. The reason they captured him is because he was a bandit. A bandit steals, not necessarily kills. It says they were killing him, but obviously they don't kill someone for stealing. They were killing him because he killed someone else. Gemara says, we're talking about a non-Jewish court that killed him. A non-Jewish court, they kill even with a little bit of suspicion. Even though there wasn't conclusive proof that he killed, they're going to kill him anyway. Based on the Israel wouldn't kill him. That happened to be the story. Mishna says, more cases of suspicious doing things in order to marry a woman. A chacham, even it's a big Talmud chacham, a big rabbi, he forbid his wife. Right? They came to the chacham. They said, "I want to matter the neder that I made it. I don't want to sleep with my wife anymore." And he wouldn't matter the neder. He said, "You're usher. You have to get divorced. You're usher to get hanos. You have to get divorced." How is all you say? Now we suspect this Talmud chacham. He's a big rabbi. He's a chacham. He's a big Talmud chacham. He can't marry this woman. We suspect the reason he answered her wasn't because that was true halacha. He just wanted to marry her. But if he was part of a basin, this rabbi, in order to do miyun or chalitza, you need a basin. We'll learn. You need a basin. Usually have three people. Miyun is when the daughter who's married off by the brother or mother, and she turns of age. She's allowed to refuse her husband. Chalitza b'fanav do chalitza, right? Yibam and chalitza. Chalitza is when she refuses to do the yibam. So even though he's part of the basin, then he can marry this girl, because even though Mishu basin is part of a basin, once he's acting with a basin, we consider not only does he have other people with him, but also he's legitimate in the fact that he's a basin. We don't assume he's going to lie, and he's doing a wrong service in order to marry her. The Gemara infers that not only he answered her, if he mattered the neder, and then for some reason they got divorced, he could marry her. If we're talking one judge, chad mimatzi matir, could it be that one person is going to matir another? Amarav, Amar B'chibarav, and Amarav Amram, Tana, Teres, and Daram B'shalosha. In order to matir another, you need three dayanim. El B'tlasa, if it's three dayanim, michashidi, are they chashiv? Atan miyana shachalta b'fanav yasenim. They show based. Once you have three people, right? The fact that there are three people together, they're legitimate. They're believed. Olam b'chad. Really, you are talking about dayan or one rabbi. Even though normally 3 people need to matter a neder, if you have a yachid mumcha, someone who's a professional in hilchas nedarim, hachanam b'yachid mumcha, if he's professional in hilchas nedarim, so therefore he can matter the neder, and that's why the inference in the Mishnah, if he's one person, he could marry her because he matter her and now he didn't answer her. The Mishna time of the basin, where it says time of because they're part of a basin, have betray. But if there's 2 people, which wouldn't be a full basin, low, that would imply that he can't marry her. Mishna if you have 2 Adam that signed on a business deal that someone was buying a field or a house, I'll get Isha, or 2 Adam signed on a get. So then the people signed on the get, the people signed on the shtar that sold it to him are allowed to buy that field, allowed to marry that woman. Even 2 people. It says he gufa kamash the fukim madamar miyun b'fnei shnayim mashalam miyun megimel. You're right. In Achanami, the Gemara says it's true. 2 would be believed also because the fact that he's testifying with somebody else, it gives legitimacy to his aides. But the reason it says 3 miyun begimel based in it because tell you the halacha that's machlokas whether you need 2 judges or 3 judges from miyun. That's the point of this rice is tell you that miyun you need the Mishnah you need 3 people. What in the case was the person I guess in our Mishnah, right, he asked the woman to marry her. He asked the woman neder, she has a neder, so he asked her to remarry. So what about again? He went ahead. He's not allowed to marry the woman. Let's say he went ahead and married her anyway. Do we force him to get rid of the wife? Rav Kana Markanas Mos. Kana says we force him. Rav Hashem Markanas say no Mos. You don't force him to get rid of the wife. Tani Louis Rav Zuti debate Rav Papi. Clear Markanas say no Motzi. Rav Zuti taught in his yeshiva, in the yeshiva of Papi, that the halacha follows. You don't have to be Motzi. Amrli Rabban and the Rav Ashi Gemara Osvara. Do you have a tradition for this, or it's logical? Amrli Masisni. I have a basis for this based on the Mishnah. Anita Mishivcha Yishachar Amos Chav in his Gaira. We learned in the Chav Dalid, right? He's suspected of being with a shivcha or with a non-Jewish woman, this Gaira, and then she became freed or she converted. He can't marry her, right? Even though there's no problem. There's no adultery. Only adultery answers at the boa. The Rabbanan he shouldn't because the laws of society it looks bad. You shouldn't marry her. Kana saying Motzi. If he married her, we don't force her to get divorced. Alma, so we see a tabach of Amral. Brunana Lomavkina, and Hachana Brunana Lomavkina, suspicion, we don't force people to move. Here also, suspicion, we don't force them to move. Right? There's only Dinim Derabanan over here that a person who asks is a woman and Bened there, it's only Derabanan, it's a Xavier of Derabanan. We're suspicious a little bit, so just suspicion, we don't force people to get divorced. This is actually a subject of Machlokas, right? We saw between Rav and Rebbe. Rebbe would say that we are mafkina, right? It seems to be the Gemara here is according to Rav. We could deal with that at a different time, how you resolve this according to Rebbe. But according to Rav, none of mafkina, so suspicion alone does not warrant us to force people to get divorced. I hope you enjoyed today's shiur. Have a good Shabbos. See you tomorrow.